guys, so welcome back to the YouTube channel. Right now, me and I have a guest, Weijun here. We are here to start off a new series where we talk about a good comp that maybe isn't really talked about too much, and then we'll go through the basics of the comp, how to play it, and then afterwards we'll go through a game that either I or him played or someone else, and go through what we think went right, went wrong, and then yeah, hopefully you guys can handle the comp on your own after this video. And Weijun, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure, of course. So, hey everyone, I'm Weijun Iverson. I've been rank 1 for many sets, and I've also been to Worlds twice, recently placing 3rd at Worlds. I'm really excited to be doing this series with Emily, and I hope that we can make a lot of good videos for you guys.
We are going to start off, and this was Weijun's idea. I asked him, I was like, oh, like what comp do you think we should do? And he's like, oh, why don't we do Seraphine Reroll? Because it's actually a pretty good comp for like beginners and to also top 4 with. But I mean, do you think this comp wins often or not really?
No, I don't think this comp goes very often, but I think it's a very consistent top 4 comp. And especially right now, there's going to be lots of lobbies where you're seeing like 5 Heartsteel AD players, and it's going to be really frustrating trying to hit that Zed and that Ezreal. And I feel like playing Seraphine is a really good alternative to that, so I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah, I have had some experiences with the comp as well, and I think it was like a 2nd and a 3rd. So this comp, I think you mainly want to start with super fans, right? And Neeko, right? And then obviously the Seraphine. So, wait, Weijun, do you have any opinions on like which Seraphine chosen you should go for and kind of just pick whatever, or do you go for a specific one?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people might have heard before that like you want KDA Seraphine to play this comp. And while that's true, I think like if you see either and you're looking to play this comp, you should be willing to settle for either. So KDA Seraphine is going to be a bit better because it's going to let you play 7 KDA later on in the game, which is a really strong trait. But Spellweaver Seraphine is fine as well. You can play 5 KDA, 5 Spellweaver, and it's still quite a strong cap to your board.
Do you ever go like 7 Spellweaver or?
7 Spellweaver is pretty uncommon right now. It might get some buffs in the future, but it's really hard to fit on your board. So you might need like a Spellweaver emblem or something to consider it.
Okay, so we have here are base super fans and Seraphine, and then you also want to play Echo, right? For that's usually like the kind of the super package, the Echo that gives true damage, Spellweaver, Sentinel, and then the filler units would most likely just be like something like Lulu, for example, right? And then something like Ahri that you want to generally dual carry with. Like you can't really just dual carry a Seraphine because she's not going to be doing enough for your team, like starting probably stage 4 or stage 4, stage 5. So you do want another unit in. Do you have preferences for like whether you're trying to like dual carry a Lulu 3 or an Ahri 2? Like is it kind of like, oh, if you're close to Lulu 3 you just like bust stuff on it, or do you generally prefer to like carry an Ahri 2? Because I think I have games where I'm like, oh, I don't know which one I should go for and whether I should even bother buying all these Lulu.
Yeah, so I think both are definitely viable. I think carrying Ahri is a lot more common. When you have like a KDA chosen Seraphine, for example, like your level 8 board is going to be this kind of board, but instead of Lulu, you're going to be maybe having like Akali and Kai'Sa, and then that's going to let you have 7 KDA. So in that case, it's going to be kind of hard to fit Lulu on the board, and you're going to want to lean into Ahri. When you have like a Spellweaver Seraphine chosen, it becomes a lot more viable because Lulu actually fits on that board really well, and you can play 5 Spellweaver. So it might just depend on the game circumstances a bit.
Okay, so should we go over like what you think the board is for if we say we get KDA Seraphine chosen first?
Yeah, so KDA Seraphine chosen might just be like an Akali or maybe a Kai'Sa if you have to, and this same kind of board. And then when you level up to 8, you can add like another KDA unit, so maybe like a Kai'Sa, and with the +1, that'll be 7 KDA. And then on level 9, we can finish off our board with a lot of legendary units. Alawi is a really good one. Another really good one might be Sona. She's a Spellweaver. She fits in pretty nicely. And even Qiyana can provide a lot of value, I would say.
Okay, so would you say then, so with Sona, you would just have like 4 Spellweaver, you would only add items for her, or?
Yeah, I think Alawi might be preferred over Sona because, as you said, like 4 Spellweaver is not going to be doing too much.
Right.
And Sona really kind of needs items to function well. But yeah, maybe like when you have like a spare like Shojin or Rageblade, that might be considerate.
I see. So this would be like an example of a Seraphine. You have 7 KDA here, and then you just throw in a legendary when you go 9. It can be Alawi, as which is probably preferable, or it can be Qiyana, it can also be Sona. And what items do you prefer to have on your chosen Seraphine here?
Yeah, so Seraphine is going to want, first of all, Shojin. She really needs that mana item. It's going to be a really big deal because she'll be 6 autos to cast without Shojin and 4 autos to cast with the Shojin, which is a huge difference. Second of all, like an attack speed item is going to pair really well with that Shojin. So the two best ones are going to be Nashor's or Morello.
Nashor's Morello? Okay.
Yeah, so Morello is going to give anti-heal to the enemy team. Seraphine attacks in a large clump, so she's really good at applying it. And then Nashor's just gives a lot of AP and attack speed that pairs really well with the Shojin.
Okay. Oh, and then the super fan item is the death cap. So would you say like you just slam like, out of these 3 items, you slam whichever one like to have, or do you have like Shojin plus Morello or Shojin plus Nashor's? Is there any time you prefer, I guess, Nashor's or Shojin or Morello over other ones? Or
yeah, so I would say like you definitely want like Shojin plus one of them. So Shojin plus Nashor's or Shojin plus Morello is going to be fine. I'm not very greedy about like whether it's a Nashor's or Morello. I think Morello is slightly preferred because you really do want anti-heal, but there's other ways to get anti-heal throughout the game. You can play like a red buff Akali or like a Sunfire on your front line. So I wouldn't be too greedy about it, and I would just make whatever I can.
Okay, sounds good. And what are the augments that you like to play when it comes to Seraphine roles? What do you think are like the, S tier augments for this comp?
Yeah, so really good augments to force Seraphine off of would be pumping up.
Pumping up?
Yeah, so that could be like Silver, Gold, Prismatic. They're all really strong for Seraphine.
Okay.
Like the comp is going to synergize really well with attack speed because like Ahri uses attack speed really well, Seraphine uses attack speed really well, and if you play Lulu, she also uses attack speed well. So it just makes your carries do like a ton of extra damage. There are certain econ augments that are really good. I think the really good ones are like March of Progress and Cruel Pact. Because they just allow you to be level 7 with a lot of gold. And when you have a lot of gold like that, you're able to play for like Neeko 3 and Echo 3 with that extra gold. And you're able to hit like the Ahri 2 and the Akali 2 a lot more consistently. And finally, in terms of like combat augments throughout the game, the main one that you're going to be looking out for is Remember Your Roots. Because when you have a Seraphine headliner, your entire team is going to be like KDA and Spellweaver units. So your entire team's just going to be benefiting from it. And again, it's giving that attack speed that's really important for your team.
Okay. Yeah, that all makes sense. Yeah. I mean, March of Progress and Pact have always been like super strong for rural comps, the set, and then Remember Your Roots sounds good. I think in my game, you guys will see, I took that and it was just insane. Okay, so now that we have that, let's maybe just backtrack a tiny bit real quick. And how would you change this board if you had Spellweaver chosen Seraphine?
Oh yeah, so Spellweaver chosen Seraphine board is gonna look really similar, but we're just gonna be playing like 5 KDA, 5 Spellweaver, so we can actually drop the Kai'Sa. And then we can put in initially a Lulu, and then once we get to level 9, we can swap that out for a Sona, maybe.
Okay, so it's like basically 5 KDA, 5 Spellweaver. And like how much weaker on average do you think Spellweaver is? Like I've heard different things from different people say like, oh, it's like a 1.0 average placement diff, and some people are like, oh, it's not really much of a difference. Like, what do you think?
I would say the difference is quite small. It doesn't really change your board on level 7 at all, which is where you're going to be spending most of the game. So I'd say maybe the like difference in average placement is like 0.3, and I would say it really isn't worth rolling past like Spellweaver chosen Seraphine, and you just want to guarantee having a chosen Seraphine.
Right, because you just like might never see one again, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so for this comp, like I think a lot of people believe, oh, it's a 2-class reroll comp. Like you might have to roll on 6, right? But I think you were telling me earlier, like you think much better to roll on 7. And do you want to like tell people why you think that way?
Yeah, sure, of course. So I mean, while it is a Seraphine comp, you really do need that duo carry of either Ahri or Lulu. And you're just not going to be able to fit that board on level 6. Like you need your super fans, you need Echo, you need Seraphine. But to fit the actual like 5 KDA board and to be able to hit like Ahri's and Akali's reliably, you're going to be want to be level 7. One more thing about level 7 is that the odds of hitting 2 costs doesn't really go down a lot. It goes from 40% to 35%.
Right.
So you're still seeing a similar amount of Seraphines, but you're just able to see a lot more Ahri's, Akali's. And one last thing is you can also buy like a KDA Neeko headliner and make a non-chosen Seraphine 3. And that version of the comp is going to be really strong as well, especially if you can get to Neeko 3.
Okay. You would only buy KDA Neeko, right? Like you wouldn't buy Superfan or Guardian?
No, I wouldn't buy Superfan or Guardian Neeko.
Okay. All right. Got it. So in this comp, like, you definitely need a tank, right? Like I know Echo used to be like the preferred tank, and then there were like nerfs. Do you kind of, I know a lot of people, including myself, have been putting like items on Neeko now. Is that like what you hear? How do you, how, important do you think Neeko 3 is to like a better placement? And like what tank items do you generally like?
Yeah, so yeah, Echo used to be the preferred tank.
Hmm.
He used to be called the Jokic of the set because he
Uh-huh.
would just do it all with all of his traits. But now Nico is strongly preferred in this comp.
Hmm.
Even if I was in a situation with Echo 2-star and Nico 1-star, I think I would strongly prefer putting it on Nico
Oh,
because
really?
yeah, just because it scales so much better, I feel like.
Uh-huh.
And the true damage effect of Echo isn't really that meaningful.
Okay.
As for Nico 3-star, I think it's extremely strong. It might be one of the few win conditions that this comp actually has, but it's also going to be
Oh,
really hard to hit it. You're going to see lots of people playing super fans,
yeah.
lots of pentakill players with it on their board.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Preferred tank items. I really like Steadfast Heart. I
That's
really
it.
like Adaptive Helm. I think a lot of players who have been playing the game a long time, they like to build like Bramble Vest and Dragon's Claw a lot because
Hmm.
those used to be the premier tank items, but with the addition of some of these new tank items, they're just not as good anymore.
Hmm.
And I really like some of these new tank items like Crown Guard, Adaptive Helm, and Steadfast
Mm.
Heart.
Okay. So the new tank items are king. Yeah, okay. So yeah, those are like I feel like Steadfast Heart, especially and Crown Guard, have been like everyone's just been spamming them ever since they go. Like I think something else that this comp does need is spread, right? Do you have Div or Spark, or does it not matter? It's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, I don't really think it matters too much. I think it comes down to whatever your components are. I'd say you're
Mm,
very happy to have either one of them.
okay.
So
So like
maybe one thing is that like you're usually going to be a little short on like tiers, especially if you want like blue buff Ari. So maybe Spark
oh
might be a little
yeah.
more common, but they're both very good.
All right. So this is the game that I played 2 days ago.
Oh yeah.
Not a big
Did they remove like a Cruel Pact Radiant Blessing? I actually don't know.
I played that in the first game, like that it came out. When it first came out, I had a Curl Pack Radiant Blessing game, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's super strong. You just get your Radiant Blessing right away.
Okay, would you have bought that cannon by the way?
No, probably not. I hate Kennen. Yeah, I hate like Kennen Lilia Chosen right now.
Oh, yeah, no, I do too. I don't know why I bought it for this. I think it's because I had the Nico.
Yeah, you
That's
have
why I
the
bought
Nico.
it. Yeah.
It's definitely more reasonable for sure. Yeah,
Is
these
it?
are not really the options that you're like that excited about. And
Yeah. What would you pick?
yeah, I think Virtue is good.
Like
I
pretty
think it's pretty
solid,
strong
right?
too.
Okay, so I picked Portable Forge because I thought it was like
Yeah,
a better
I
one.
like Forge a lot here and Manazane.
Uh,
And already this is looking like definitely a really strong Seraphine spot. I think like one of the main spots you're looking to force Seraphine from is just some sort of super fan opener. You don't have to have like a Seraphine, but just
mhm.
any sort of like super fan and like AP-ish leaning items.
I see. Okay.
But yeah,
So
here looks really good.
yeah, I think I actually kind of like remember this cow. It did like no damage for the longest time with the Seraphine. You think it's just you need stars, like you need items?
Yeah, I mean a lot of Seraphine's value is
Mhm.
in like the utility, like the healing as well, which
Uh,
is a big reason why like the duo carry becomes so important.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Ari's sole job is to just like do like a ton of damage, but
Mm.
Seraphine's like doing damage while also like healing your team.
Uh-huh.
And also Seraphine's doesn't really have any like single target damage. So
Right.
if you run into
Yeah.
something like a Z2 or like Riven 3, Yone 3, you're just gonna
Mhm.
be like completely incapable of killing it without like an itemized Ari.
Right, yeah. I remember like when I was playing this game, actually someone in chat asked like, "Oh, like how are you ever killing like Yone 3, like Riven 3?" Because I think there was a Yone 3 or Ari 3 in this game. And I do actually think like you'll see later, but it actually did decently. The Yone 3, Riven 3 once you get the comp online more. Yeah, we can skip through a little bit. I went for Rod because I thought I didn't even at this point when I was playing the game, I thought like Morello was like really important because I wasn't doing damage. And so I was like, okay, I probably need like Morello to have the additional like attack speed, AP, burn. I guess like if you had a Nashor's early game or mid game, do you think like mid game one of those items is better than the other, or is it really just about the same?
I would say it's pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
I think Morello might be a little bit better because fights tend to be quite extended, like in the early and mid game, so you're just gonna get like extra value from the burn. But yeah, it is quite similar. And I do like taking Rod here. Like you can use tons of rods in this comp, even like
Yeah.
frontline items later on, like Spark, Crown. So yeah, I do like the Rod here.
Mm-hmm. For sure, rods and tiers in this comp are like want to be going for. I think I was like a tiny bit worried because I mean I got the Morello, but I was like, oh no, like I'm still one Seraphine, and this guy had a Seraphine chosen. So I don't know about you, but like when I see myself even remotely contested, I panic.
Yeah, I guess one more thing that might be important to mention is like about playing this comp contested. A lot of the time, like you might be in a spot where you feel like you have to pivot, and that's totally okay because like the items that you're making can work well in a lot of other comps. Like you can just go to level 8 and you can play around like an Ari with like Shojin Nashers, and it's also going to perform really well as well. Like some sort of Ari Akali, Ari Zed, something like that. So if you're forced to pivot, it should be completely fine.
Yeah, like these items would be good on a Karthus, right? I think that's what I was thinking too, because
Yeah,
like
Karthus as well would be good.
And I think I took Remember Your Roots here because I also thought like Remember Your Roots is also really good with or not Karthus, sorry, Pentakill.
Yeah, remember you're seeing Pentakill as well. I do also like this play a lot of like you hit the Nico too, so you wanted to sell the Kennen, move the items.
Right.
And then because you sold your headliner, you rolled for a new one. So I really like that a lot.
And then I hit the Seraphine. It was a Spellweaver, but I think it like worked.
Yeah, and we also know that this guy's gonna pivot off of his Seraphine because he made a Pentakill.
Yeah. And also Remember Your Roots already has like pretty good value on my board.
Yeah, it's really strong. It's buffing like pretty much your entire board except I guess the Sentinels, but it's buffing your important like Nico and Seraphine.
Oh, so here I was checking the stats of my stream was like telling me that, oh no, you need to sell the Spellweaver to like buy a KDA one. And I was like, really? Like, do I really want to do that? I was looking up the stats. But I found out it's like very similar, I think, or like similar enough that I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think one more thing that's like pretty interesting here. I don't know if you were thinking about it that much. Is that like with Mana Zane, blue buff actually becomes like a lot stronger than Shojin. Because like when you're like blue buff, Mana Zane is just a super strong combo because you're just reducing your mana, and then the Mana Zane just becomes like a lot more valuable.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if you thought about that, but yeah, I actually think in this specific scenario that blue buff is a lot better than Shojin.
Yeah, I don't think I thought about that. I think I just saw the stats and I was like, oh, blue buff is really good with Mana Zane, and then I just made it. But yeah, no, I can understand what you're saying. Maybe I need to stop looking at stats so much. Okay, so here I think I was like a little bit worried because you generally want more than like 4 Seraphines by 4-1, right? Like I'm usually not comfortable with playing reroll comps unless I have basically a Seraphine 3 already at this. Like I got a blue Nico, so I was like feeling better about it. And then I thought I was gonna start bleeding out. But I was really surprised by what happened. And maybe you'll see and let me know your thoughts on this.
I do think that Seraphine is like one of the few reroll comps that is actually quite stable stage 4. Like if you have a 2-star Seraphine and you have like a 1-star Ari and you have the rest of your important upgrades like Nico 2 and Echo 2, I feel like you're usually quite stable stage 4, which is not true of a lot of the other reroll comps like Riven or Yone. Like on a 2-star version, you're just going to be like bleeding out really hard.
Oh, I think, okay, here, would you have done what I did? I think I ended up putting blue buff on someone else because I had the super fan item.
Yeah, I think you might be forced to play like a blue buff Lulu or Ari here just because of that super fan item, and you don't really have any other units that are going to hold the Morello really well. Like Seraphine's going to be your best Morello application by far. So yeah, I'm definitely cool with this play.
And I think this is where you were talking about earlier, like for this comp, you can't just sit there and like roll on 6. You just have to go 7 and roll for your comp because everything fits on the board. Like whether you have
for sure. Like if you were level like 6 right now, I feel like we might not even have like gotten to this board, and I feel like we'd be like losing way more HP. So
yeah, like I'm honestly surprised that right now we're beating like BAQs, we're beating people with 2-star 4 costs, and with just a Seraphine 2 Nico 2. Like it's definitely really stable.
Yeah, I mean I expect like once we start getting to like the stage 5s and 6s, even with Seraphine 3, we might see some like super strong Heartsteel AD players, and it might feel like pretty hopeless to beat them. But you can see like we're really healthy right now, and the spot looks like almost a guaranteed top 4 just off of our HP, and we still haven't even hit like the Seraphine 3 yet.
Right. That looks like pretty strong, right? Oh, by the way, I took Jewel Lotus. Like, what do you think about that?
So I'd say Jewel Lotus is not bad, but maybe slightly suboptimal. So like one thing that's really good about Jewel Lotus is you're playing like KDA Spellweavers. They're gonna have like a lot of AP, and then Jewel Lotus is gonna like crit and multiply the AP, which is quite nice. But the other thing about Jewel Lotus is that Seraphine is also like kind of a healer, and like the healing portion of that spell isn't able to crit. So it might be slightly suboptimal, but I'm not entirely sure what your other options were. It's definitely not that bad, but it might not be like one of the best augments to look out for in this comp.
Right. Either. Oh my god, did you see that? It's just one shot TF2. I was really surprised this entire stage because we beat 2 Viego 2, an Ezreal 2, and then a TF2. Like, I was so shocked by how the strength of this bird and how much it was doing without even a Seraphine 3.
Yeah, no, it should be able to hit Seraphine 3 this turn, hopefully. In terms of the items, it's a bit difficult, like 2 swords.
Yeah, I was like really...
Probably gonna have to make like Shojin and then something else.
Yeah, I couldn't hit... Oh yeah,
I think it's okay as well. Yeah, Adaptive and Shojin should be quite similar here. Like it's just 2 autos either way.
So. Right. So I wasn't sure because I think I don't have Shred here, right? And I was like worried that starting stage 5 that bad things would happen to people who don't have a Marshred.
Yeah, that is a bit of a concern. I think one more thing I would say about this spot is like, since we're just one off this Seraphine 3 with like the small Nico. I mean, I guess we want Lulu 3 as well, but I would be kind of worried that we're gonna start losing, and I might roll a little more aggressively than normal, just knowing that like this comp tends to bleed out, and we should be saving HP while we can.
Okay, yeah. So like you would have just spent it until you.
Yeah, I think I would have rolled quite deep on like 5-1.
Okay.
But yeah, this play also had some benefits as well. Like we were able to save the small Nico, and now we're in a really good spot to hit Lulu 3. So
yeah, I was I really wanted to hit Echo 3 and Nico 3 as well, but I was like, I rolled down. I was like, wait, there's like no way I have enough to hit either of these. But I think I still held it for longer. But, like you would never even go for Echo 3, right? Or
no, I don't think I would ever go for Echo 3.
Okay.
I feel like even like a Nico 2-star is just like more comparable than you would think. And Echo 3 is going to be really, really expensive, like 27 gold, something like that. And that 27 gold could have just gone towards like leveling up for like another KDA unit or something. So.
I see. But I think when this fight, I remember.
Yeah, very, very strong augment, but almost similar to this comp, it does tend to be like a very top 4 oriented augment.
I see.
In this current meta, like the main thing that's actually going to have potential to play for first is Heartsteel AD. Probably going to be winning like, I don't know, like 70% of challenger lobbies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing. It's kind of sad. Would you have sold, by the way, Nico at this point too and just given up?
Yeah, I think I would, because just evaluating like we really want to level here. 5 KDA is going to be like a huge spike.
Right.
And then I guess when we level up, we do have the option of playing like 2 Nico 2s, but I feel like playing 5 KDA might be a bit stronger than that. So I think I would have given up on these a little sooner.
Right.
But obviously if we could somehow hit it, it would be really great. I think it's pretty close, and it might actually depend on like what the items are a little bit. If you have too much attack speed, there's actually kind of like a bug or like a mana lock with Lulu where she'll start doing like 1 extra auto attack. So with these, like a Blue Buff Naturalist setup actually might end up being like slightly stronger on Ahri. But if you had like Blue Buff Shojin or something like that, like with no attack speed, that would be really good on Lulu. So
okay.
Might just depend on what those items are, but usually it should just be whatever like we're hitting first. And this game we were like hitting Lulu, so I think it was good to play for that out.
And I think this game I realized like at best you can just get second here, right? Because one guy has 10 pentakill. I probably should have been like what you said. I probably should have rolled a lot more on 5-1. Yeah, this so I realized I had 10 pentakill and I was like, okay, all right, time to go for RE3. It could have worked, right? Or no?
Yeah, no, this is very correct. Like, just like in spots where you know that like you're not gonna be able to win no matter what. Like you got to do whatever you can to try and win the game. So, no, but overall, I really like that game a lot. I thought it was quite clean. Also, a very like standard Seraphine game, just like saving a lot of HP in stage 4, and then like kind of starting to bleed out later on. But yeah, it was quite a safe top 4. Like it didn't really feel like at any point we were going bot 4 in that game. So
yeah. I think what I learned from that game was like, early mid game Seraphine definitely does really well as soon as you have your upgrades. Even like late game, you're still winning some fights, so like you don't really bleed out that hard. So I think with this comp, like the main takeaways are you mostly want to roll on 7. Like probably some games you should roll a little bit on 6 until you hit like board upgrades, superfan upgrades, or superfan. That Seraphine upgrade, you want to then go 7 and roll on 7, because that's like whether you have KDA or Spellweaver chosen Seraphine for this comp, I think it's really, really important that you go 7, because otherwise you can't fit like your KDA, 5 KDA, 5 Spellweaver, your KDA Spellweaver board on. And it's a very consistent like top 4 comp. Let me this up. Shred is important. I didn't have Shred until like later that game, but I think if I had it earlier, maybe I would have saved more HP. And then I think Seraphine is like never just like enough on her own. You always do want later on, like starting stage 5 or so, to be carrying like an RE2 or a Lulu along with her. And you always want like a mana item like Shojin, and then you can build as Weijin said, you can either build Riz or Morello, whichever you have items for. And do you have anything else to say? Any conclusions, or like anything else you think is important about the comp?
No, I think you summed it up really well actually. Yeah, maybe just like if you maybe just looking for like good Seraphine angles, which would be like a super fan opener and like AP items like tears and rods.
Right.
So yeah, that would be the spot to consider playing this comp. And yeah, if you're just tired of like the Heartsteel AD meta, it's another strong comp to play and climb with.
Right, right. Okay. And yeah, so thank you, Wei for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope we can do more of these. Like we're thinking about doing it maybe every couple of weeks or so, and just finding less talked about comps that are still very good, and that are relatively easy to play so that you guys can hopefully have something to climb with. 2 to 3 comps everyone is spamming. And yeah, thank you again, Wei for your time. And
yeah, thank you. I had a lot of fun. I hope we can keep making videos like this in the future.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye,
Yep,
guys.
see you soon.